my darling Atlantis Scalar peeps. We're going to continue our bedtime story. Maybe it's morning over there, but My Life After Death, a memoir from heaven. All right, so we're still on the chapter, I think it's the fourth chapter, Crossing Over and Meeting Loved Ones. And I didn't start at the beginning of that, but if you look at the Atlantis Scalar videos on the Atlantis Scalar site, you'll see many times where I read to you. All right, so after I screamed, that's Eric, I started to see shapeless blobs in the light. Things started to change around me again. My logical mind said, you moved. Because I was still trying to think linearly, but it was more like a dimensional shift. Energetically, what happened to me was that I was coming out of the human dimension to enter a parallel one. Later, I learned that dimensions are all parallel, but kind of smushed and swirled together. He often described it as, one of those frozen yogurt chocolate mixed with vanilla cones. The blobs of light turned into what looked like people. So many people. I thought they were people, but I wasn't sure. Maybe I was in heaven and they were angels. Maybe I was in hell and they were devils. Either way, they fucking freaked me out. I really feel sorry for the woman who does the audio version of this, having to curse like that. Anyway, think about it. My only memories were from my human life. Seeing that dimensional shift and transformation was like watching a scary movie. Shit turning into monsters like in that movie, The Blob, it spooked me. With those people around me, I felt like the center of attention, but it wasn't an ego thing like, look at me, I'm all that. Once I realized I wasn't in a horror movie, I actually started to feel love. That transition from being spooked to feeling loved was like seeing somebody in the dark and not knowing who they are, and then getting closer to them so that you get a better clue. And then the fog lifts and you're like, hey man, what's going on? You scare the crap out of me. He's so funny. The love I felt was the kind that brings you to your knees weeping. Happy tears. Tears that wash you clean. I was that important. I found out later that all that love was necessary to begin my healing process. It's weird because in human life, sometimes the more people there are, the more expendable you feel. You're like a piece of meat. Here, everyone is important, and no one is more important than the other. Still, I was afraid that I'd never see my family again. I was afraid that I'd be stuck with these dudes I didn't know. Next, I noticed that there were two people around me. They weren't shapeless. Instead, both of them looked like they had human bodies, and I think they looked like that, so I'd recognize them. They were helping me out with all the new dead stuff. One of them was Aunt Denise. Like me, she killed herself, but she did it by overdosing on her pills. She had horrible diabetes, and everything was, diapers, J-tube feedings, walker, blind, kidney failure. She was a mess. I don't blame her. Anyway, she had been sick, very sick from having diabetes for years. Her kidneys didn't work. She couldn't walk without help. She could only eat through a tube, and she was almost blind. I didn't know they were going to say that. In a way, I couldn't blame her. I wouldn't have wanted to live like that. Aunt Denise was in front of me to the left. Hers was the first smile I saw. That was when I had this awakened moment that this was really real. Even though I sort of thought it might be before, now it was different because I was about to have a real conversation with dead people. It still hadn't really sunk in yet that I was one of them, even though it was it's pretty obvious that my physical body was dead. I asked her if I was in hell, and she laughed and asked, why? Because I'm here? Then she hugged me. She was so happy, and I was confused as to why. Is that funny? It was like I didn't catch what made her happy, and I didn't realize it was because of me. She was so happy to see me. She was happy to be with me. When she hugged me, I hugged her back. After that, there was no talking for a while. Everyone was quiet and peaceful, and the white light I'd seen before was still shining. It seemed to be brighter behind her, and I still felt warm. I knew there was a woman to my right, but I didn't turn toward her. I was still focused on Aunt Denise. Then the other woman stepped forward and gave me a hug. That's when I recognized her as my grandmother, my dad's mother, Bestemur. That means best mother. Other than my mom, I've never known anyone as sweet as her. Wow. Aunt Denise took my hand and walked me forward, explaining what was happening to me and telling me that everything was going to be okay. She made sure I kept moving and told me I couldn't go back. I had no problem walking with her. I didn't hesitate at all. I was wondering where the fuck she was taking me, but I wasn't nervous about it. I got the feeling that she was taking me to a place where something important was going to happen, but I can't tell you why I knew it. Since the other voices and emotions I was trying to manage from the funeral had faded away, I wasn't processing all that anymore. It felt like I was gaining my focus back, and I was just focused on her. Just like before, I didn't feel like anything was moving past me as Aunt Denise walked me forward, and I didn't feel like I was, covering any ground, but I still knew that I was going somewhere. It felt like I was in one of those dreams where you're running but not getting anywhere. When I was looking ahead, I saw the white light had grown really bright. It was so bright that I couldn't see anything else, but it didn't hurt my eyes and it didn't bother me. There was such a sense of trust and peace, knowing that none of it bothered me. If a light like that had come toward me when I was alive, I'd have gone, "What the fuck? Alien abduction." But it wasn't like that. Anyway, we could stop there. Yeah, this is a wonderful book. I'm not bragging because I didn't write it. It was all channeled via Jamie Butler from Eric himself. So I hope you enjoyed it. And until the next weekly bedtime story hour, bye-bye. And check out channelingerich.com and the YouTube channel Channeling Eric and atlantiscalar.com and the YouTube Atlantis Scalar. There's all good stuff there. Thanks for watching. Bye.